Hey everybody, it's me, Asinellus, and welcome back to another video, welcome back to Reddit, and welcome to r/MaliciousCompliance. If you've never seen this subreddit before, let me quickly show you what it's about. Write a newspaper article as if I was actually there? Sure thing. My history teacher made me do this assignment, and honestly, I hate this teacher. She's made my life hell, and has it out for me. Anyway, so she had us do this report where we had to write a newspaper article about an event from the French Revolutionary War, as if we were actually there. So I did exactly that, and wrote the entire thing in French. It meets all the requirements, the word count and the vocabulary terms, but you know, it's in French. So if you enjoyed that quick little preview, then make sure to subscribe to the channel, because this is going to be a whole episode of just stuff like that. So stick around, guys, and I'll get straight into the video. Bad high school English teacher wants me to pronounce like she does. Gets fired because of it. Background. I'm from Spain, and public schools in Spain have a painfully low level of English. By painfully low, I mean third-year teachers don't know what a snake is. In my local area, teachers are tested on their skills through 3 chosen elite students from 3 different years, to check their teaching competence. If all 3 do a mediocre job in the test, the teacher gets fired. Well, usually not fired, just forced to take a course or something. I was not a bratty kid, so despite having passed the CAE with an A at age 14, I was respectful to my horrible English teachers, always asked for permission to do things, and would have helped them if asked. Hence the perfect grades that irked my English teachers so much. So one day in my third, before I scurry off to my next, my beloved English teacher stops me and tells me that I've been chosen as her 3rd year representative. She was finally getting tested. I'd been yearning for this. The teacher: during my speaking test, remember to pronounce just as I've taught you. You have a tendency to drift from my teachings, and I cannot have that rebellious attitude of yours affect my career. Speaking is one of the things I'm best at, mind you, but at our school, every adult's favourite sentence was, "The teacher is always right." And if they're not, you better believe they are. I'm not fond of this translation. I feel like it doesn't get the oppression across quite like the original. So since talking back would end up badly for me, I shut up and agreed. I mulled this over as the next test drew closer, and decided that why the hell not make this pathetic excuse of an English teacher take an extra course or 2 on her own damn subject and teaching as a whole. Believe me, the Spanish English teachers I've had at my public schools have, with one exception, been absolutely terrible. The day of the test came. I was ready to comply with my dear teacher's command. I went in, and the natives at the examination centre actually recognised me from the last time, about a year before this story takes place. They seem happy that I'm my teacher's chosen 3rd year, since they've had to condemn every other sorry excuse for a teacher that day to several courses. I informed them that there's no need to worry, and I'm going to do exactly what my teacher taught me, as per her request. They looked confused at first, until the speaking test comes, and one of them asked me the first question. My English was so butchered, he could barely understand me. And the Spanish pronunciation was so strong that it bothered his ears. Trust me, it hurts to hear. Next Monday, I'm informed that my absolute favourite teacher has been fired in light of her newly discovered incompetence, and that the others will be investigated. I rejoiced. Every other student who was good at English rejoiced. It was a happy day. Since everyone seems to want to hear my teacher's pronunciation, I'll tell you a way you can check how she pronounced different words. Go to Google Translate as if you were going to translate from Spanish to something else, and type, for example, sí. Then make Google say it how a Spanish person would. Alright, so we have this beautiful sentence. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Every single letter in the English language, so hopefully we get a good idea of the pronunciation.
The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
Sorry guys, that was, I think I see the problem. Be nice to the person who manages your accounts. My company hosts a multi-tenant network. Multiple businesses are all working together on the same network and on the same project. It can be a bit chaotic, especially when validating users, and making sure they're who they say they are. Last Monday, one such issue popped up. During a routine password reset, I noticed that this user's account had never been validated by the company's point of contact. I called POC to check that this user was indeed an employee of the company. The POC, yeah, he works here. No, I can't provide you with the correct documents because I don't have them. Now kindly F off. I have work to do. Now, this was basically an admission that this account should never have been made. When I told my boss, he told me to get it in writing. I wrote an email verifying that any accounts validated by the company or data generated by those accounts would be locked. This email was sent to the POC, confirming if this was the action he wanted to take. POC responded that he couldn't help us right then and to disable the account. Now notice that I said any accounts in my email, not just this specific user. While I had been looking for this user, I noticed that he was not the only one. Almost no one from the company had been verified, not even the POC. My boss gave me his blessing, and so did my boss's boss. This was a possible major security breach, they said. Unverified user accounts on a network where millions of dollars were on the line? Unacceptable. 2 levels of butt coverage in place, I proceeded to disable 164 user accounts, lock approximately 12 terabytes of data, shut down approximately 20 servers created by non-validated users, and disconnect 2 entire network segments. I learned from a friend who worked at this company that when these accounts were disabled, the place basically collapsed. Most of the work they did was on the contracts at our site. None of the developers could do much except twiddle their thumbs at their desks. The other company's CTO contacted us directly, and we exchanged the details of what happened. After a day of back and forth, and a fax of the correct documents, most of the accounts were verified, and everyone was back up and running. The POC was changed to the CTO, and the original POC moved on to pursue new opportunities shortly after. Guys, so here's some stats on how much a terabyte is. So 1 terabyte is approximately 200,000 songs, 310,000 pictures, or 500 hours worth of movie. 24 terabytes, or roughly what we're talking about here, is the amount of video data uploaded to YouTube per day in 2016. That is a lot of stuff, so I can see why that company collapsed. Impatient developer, can't wait 3 days. I'm usually not a malicious person, but this just rubbed me the wrong way on a day when my stress levels were off the charts to begin with. In the world of IT, sometimes we, in-house developers, wear a lot of hats. One being support for outsourced developers that can't get their code to play with our codebase. This is what this whole thing was about. Me will be me, and OD is the outsourced developer. Phone rings while I'm juggling 3 separate high-priority tasks and trying to down enough coffee to last the day. OD. Hi, I'm having a problem with task that shouldn't happen with our way of working. Hi, I see you're not following our way of working. If you do the task that follows the way of working, that should clear up nicely. I cannot do that. We have always done it like this. This is easily fixed by a task that F's over our entire codebase. You need to solve this problem right now. I'll need to bounce this with my superior as this will affect the entire codebase. I'll invite you to our next Q&A call-in session in 3 days. No, that will just not do. We have a team of 12 developers who are twiddling their thumbs because of this blocking us. I want you to escalate this issue to the highest position. The only person I can escalate this to above my boss is the CIO. But like I said, if you do the task that follows the way of working, this won't be a problem. It's clear that you're incompetent. Goodbye. 5 minutes later, I get an email that has both my boss and the CIO CC'd, where the OD calls me incompetent, claims I was hostile towards him, and states that the task that screws over the entire codebase is the only way forward. My boss pings me on the Slack with a quick, saw the mail, what the F, and I spell it out to him. His response was essentially, F that guy and the team he rode in with, let the CIO deal with it. Kicker is both he and I knew the CIO was away on vacation and won't be back for another 3 weeks. Oh, and we both may have forgotten to mention he never set an out-of-office auto-response. This one sounds interesting. Compliance from the 1880s. Yes, the 1880s. Bit of a history lesson here, folks. I just found this out tonight while watching a documentary. Gold Mountain Dreams. Thanks, PBS. Let me know if this fits better somewhere else, but it seems to be malicious compliance to me. Back in the 1870s, in California, these Chinese immigrants were under a lot of xenophobia from gold rush settlers and American citizens. They were treated the same way that some races are still treated today. The city of San Francisco once passed a law known as the Cubic Air Ordinance, aka Sanitary Ordinance, which required boarding houses, hotels, lodges, etc. to have a minimum of 500 cubic feet of air per person occupying the room. This was meant to be enforced in all areas within the city, but due to prior laws, crimes, and racism against Chinese in California, they were extremely poor and had to sleep with multiple people in each room. This made Chinatown a very clear target. Oh, what a coincidence. I'll just let the Ordinance's short Wikipedia page do its magic and explain the malicious compliance here. Realizing this amounted to 3 room and board, many Chinese immigrants intentionally violated the conditions. After a housing raid on May 22, 1873, 45 people were arrested in a single day, and small local jails were filled to capacity. It was reported that some of those arrested were willing to pay the fine, but were ordered by leaders in Chinatown to accept jail time instead. The intent was to make the enforcement of the law more trouble than it was worth. Local Chinese leaders also noted that local authorities were breaking their own law since the small jails were filled to capacity, thereby violating the ordinance. And thus, they were sued by non-citizens who had no voting rights and no representation. At an attempt of petty revenge for their humiliation, the SF Board of Supervisors passed a proposition and acted before the mayor signed it into law that prisoners would have their heads shaved to within an inch of their scalp. I don't know if many people know about this, but the Qing Chinese had a hairstyle called a queue among the men, in which their hair was braided and all the way down to their waist. From the wiki for the Pigtail Ordinance, as a result of the new law, a Chinese immigrant named Ah Ko was arrested for living space violations and had his queue removed at the jail. He sued the sheriff for damages, claiming that the Pigtail Ordinance caused him irreparable harm. On June 14, 1879, United States Supreme Court Justice Stephen Johnson Field, sitting in the local federal court, despite much criticism from the general public, found in favor of the plaintiff. The criticism against him was mainly that they were shocked by his actions, despite Judge Field being actively anti-Chinese. So, malicious compliance ain't new. I'm guessing people really wanted to get back all throughout history. Alrighty guys, I think that's enough for today. Tell me what you liked most down in the comments below, and if there's some stories that everyone seems to like, maybe I'll look for similar ones and see what I can do. Also tell me if there's any particular subreddits you really love, then I'll have a look at them and they might make it into a video, so do that. But otherwise guys, subscribe to the channel, and all I want to do is see you all here next time. See you later guys!